Hey team, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually utilize the force sensor in the Spike software. Right. So again, I'm just going to open a new project and keep it as word blocks. And then just since this is testing / using it as a tutorial, I'm just going to call it force sensor. Alright, so once I'm in the software, as you know, all of the sensor blocks are located in the light blue, and you find whatever sensor you are currently utilizing or need to utilize. So as we went over last class, right, or last video, that this shape is very unique, and as you know, it cannot connect easily to where the program begins, which all of our blocks need to connect to each other. But if I go to control, you'll see a couple of blocks that have the similar shape as this sensor block right here. So if I grab the wait until block, right, just drag it over randomly. If I drag the sensor block over and I hover over top, you'll now see that that trapezoidal shape kind of gets highlighted. So when I let go, now the sensor will be inside the wait until block. And this is very, very helpful for a couple of different reasons, right? So when you use the wait until block, whatever will happen before this in your code will happen, and then nothing will happen after it until this condition is being met, right? So whether that's the force sensor is pressed, it's hard pressed, or it's released, right? So at the beginning of our code will be very similar to how it has been, right? So you could have set your movement motors, set your speed, and if I drag this in, nothing will happen after this block until the force sensor is touched. So if I just grab move forward block and I make it, rotations, just going to keep it at 10 for default, and then stop moving and exit, then when I hit go on the hub after I downloaded it, it's going to set my movement motor, set my speed, and then nothing will happen until the force sensor is pressed. Once it's pressed, then the robot will travel forward for 10 rotations, which is super, super, super important. Right, you can change where the wait until is located. So right now nothing will happen until it's pressed. But if I take this off, I move this out, and I use a movement block and just use start moving, right? There's no condition happening. It's just moving forward until another condition is added, some kind of other detail is added. If I add this wait until block and then stop, and then stop and exit, the movement motor is going to be set my speed, and the robot's just going to start moving. And then it's not going to stop until the touch sensor is pressed. Then once it's pressed, then it will stop and exit program. And you can do that for any of the conditions for the sensor, right? That's kind of really, really important. Another cool thing you can do, or a couple of cool things you can do, right? So say I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. And I'm just going to leave when program starts, and it's going to set my movement motors and set my speed. And I'm not going to add anything else there, because you can actually add multiple chains of code happening into the same program. Right? So if I go to events, and I go over here, this looks like the force sensor as we know. So what I can actually do is I can set it so when the force sensor is pressed, then it'll start moving. Right? So that can actually start off my program. So now I can drag this over, have it 2 rotations for whatever it is, and then stop and exit. So you can actually have, if you go to events, you can have certain events start off your program. Right? Like for example, if I drag this block over, I get rid of this, and I can get rid of that. I can have it set so when one of the buttons is pressed, whether left or right, if it's pressed or released, then something will happen. So I can use the buttons on the front of my hub as a force sensor. So in this case, when the program starts, it's going to set my movement motors to A and B, and then it's going to set my speed. And then nothing will happen until I touch the left button on the hub. And if I right-click duplicate, I can have it situated so both of these are options I can use. So if I hit go, set my speed and my motors, and then nothing will happen until I hit the left or the right button, which is very, very valuable for us. Alright, so hopefully this helps clear up some stuff or gives you some info about the force sensor. Good luck, and I'll see you soon.